We're going live. Stories are happening. It's good. Session number 2, launch planning with Brittany from NAB Media Group. I'm Tony from Intentional Spark. We kind of did an overview in our first call of where you are, Brittany, and all the pieces you have and the plans you kind of had ready. What were your biggest takeaways from the first call?
Oh, so
I didn't
many.
tell you I was going to ask. That's a lot of pressure now. I put you on the spot.
No, I actually still have my notes here. I'm like, where am I going to write the new notes now? That was like my thought process. Probably just like utilizing Instagram Live and then using my email list to promote, like lead up or get people excited and anticipating the Blogger Blueprint, which is something that like my newsletters were completely separate from the Blogger Blueprint, and I was just on talking about it like right when I launched and have this launch sequence go out. But I think it's a better idea, like you said in the last call, to kind of prime them and get them like ready and just be like, oh, it's the behind the scenes if you want this, or here's my live training if you want that. So probably those two things, which I'm doing them too. So I like put them in.
We'll talk about that because I'm excited. You took some fast action.
Yeah.
And I was thinking more about our call this morning and our call from Tuesday, and I was thinking about it this morning. And I think one of the things too that's important, like just starting to talk to people about Blogger Blueprint, like an email, and not even necessarily selling it, right? Just talking about you've created this thing, here are the problems. You get to kind of let them know in advance so they're not totally surprised. B, you're going to get some good feedback from people, right? Like you'll hear people be like, I don't know am I ready for this? And all of a sudden you can use that when you're selling it. But it'll also maybe help you shape it the final little bit. Like some of it's a sales strategy where you ask people for feedback because then they feel like they have a part of it. But some of it is like if it's a new program, new sales page, they might tell you what they need. I've seen people launch their first product and they might add a whole like extra month on the end of it because it's like, oh, there's this one thing everybody's dying to do, so they add on like a live component or something else. So it's always good just to start chatting, especially early. And the other thing I was thinking about is we talked about like expectations for sales. And I just wanted to, so I think we said based on your email list size, like 1 to 3% would be 50 to 150. But I definitely think I wanted to stress that like because your email list hasn't been like it's been kind of spread out across multiple lists and they haven't always been getting emails about this or similar content. So that's a big question mark. So if it's really only 2,000 people of the 5, then the 1 to 3% would be of them. So I don't want you to feel like extra pressure to sell a certain amount. It's just to understand how this works the first time, because then it's much more repeatable.
I mean, my expectation, I'm thinking the worst, which probably is not good. So I'm like, but maybe it is good to just have like, and I try to have this in my business at all, like have zero expectations. And if I get something, great, amazing. It's like an added bonus, but just to act as if like nothing, I'm just going through my day, like, nothing is going to change from now until after I launch, but hopefully it will be super successful, but I'm just going in like with kind of no expectation, but also having those goals.
Yep. And I think that's why it's always good to have kind of projections set that are realistic. So like, the 50 to 150 based off of some conversion rates in your email list, but it could be closer to that 50 just depending on how engaged that email list is around this topic. So that's the big question mark. But yeah, one of the biggest things I see kind of crush people is they have an awesome launch, but they thought they'd sell 10,000, and the math doesn't work, but it hurts when you think you're going to do that. But let's talk about what you've done since we last talked, because we talked about leveraging your Instagram audience of 40,000 people, and one of the ideas was to do some Instagram lives, and you're doing it tonight, right? 5:00 Pacific.
Yeah, so my thought process there was if I'm already going to be like doing this, I'll be like getting used to being live and just I'll be known already. So like just bang it out after and just like go hard with it. So I actually am trying to go on Instagram Live.
I've seen, you're telling people.
Yep.
Telling people to join you. I love it.
And I wanted to do the countdown, but I can't do a countdown the day of. So I should have done the countdown yesterday. But like I'm trying to build the anticipation with that for tonight. And then I'm going to continue to go on Instagram Live every Thursday until the launch, and then try to do Facebook Live in my Facebook group every Tuesday after we talk. So I'm kind of like just going for it. Yeah.
And the topic tonight is around, was it 5 tips for bloggers?
Top 5 mistakes that bloggers.
Mm-hmm. Cool. And I know yesterday you kind of told people this was happening. You put out some posts asking questions. Have you gotten some questions in from people or any engagement, like people DMing you or anything like that?
I have. So I put it out in my Facebook group as well to tell people that I'm going live on Instagram. And I actually had, and this has never happened before, but I had someone like say the sweetest regret that they couldn't make it. They're like, I'm going to be in a meeting at that time. It was like so sweet. I'm like, okay. So, luckily if you can't join, tonight, it'll be live for 24 hours, which is really nice. So I told her that. Cool. Yeah, I've got a few questions, not too many. I've noticed that just, I think generally, and I don't know if we talked about this last time, but people on Instagram are just like, people just are not as engaged as they were. So to get that engagement is like pulling teeth. So I literally have like 2 or 3 questions.
Yeah.
And, I'm hoping that once I answer a few questions, it'll get people warmed up, and then people who are watching the live will chime in and ask questions, and then it'll be a little more interactive. So yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, and some of it is, I think people are still as engaged as ever on Instagram. It's just the algorithm now is not showing, it's not time-based anymore like it was a couple of years ago, right? So you're only getting a small percentage of anybody in your audience to see any one post. And even with stories, when stories first came out, like not everyone was doing it. So like a lot of stories got a ton of press, but now everyone is kind of doing stories. So you're falling further back in kind of the chain.
I guess I should rephrase that and say people are engaged, but my audience is not as engaged. And it's not to blame Instagram. It is to that's fully on me.
Well, so no, I don't even know. I wouldn't even say it's on you. I mean, that's just how it works now with the algorithm is organically. It's hard to have that same level of engagement as you might have had a year or 2 ago. And so, that's always a little bit of the struggle. So it's not, if you have a couple questions, that's perfect. And if you've watched people do lives, they can be really casual. You go live, you say hi to people, you can talk about the topic, like tell them a couple times what the topic is, let people come in. And if no one's there live, still do it because people will watch it later, which can be really helpful.
Yeah.
And I'll try to be on, so I'll be asking questions. I'll try to ask a question.
More pressure. Our next call, you're going to be like, okay, here's everything that you could have done but didn't do.
Oh no, lives are just about being you and connecting with the audience and just being real. You can tell them this is a topic that's really important, but I didn't know how well it would go. So yeah, but I like that you're doing it. I like that you're trying it. And the feedback, and sometimes the topic will have a lot bigger engagement. You just test different topics. So I'm excited for that. And I like that you put it in your group because having people in a Facebook group is definitely a sign that they're very interested in what you're doing because that's a much bigger ask. So leveraging them will be really important.
Yeah, that's another space that I need to work on because it's not as engaged. I mean, my Instagram engagement is lower than it has been, and my Facebook group engagement is super, super low. I mean, I post something, I put something out there, and I get crickets. So I've actually been researching how to kind of reignite that fire and engagement within my Facebook group because I know it is so powerful.
Yeah, and I was thinking too for on your Instagram account at least. Not in stories per se, but just the feed. We could try looking at doing some really low priced ads to make sure all 40,000 of your people in your audience are seeing some of this. And early on, it doesn't necessarily have to be ads selling. It could be ads promoting an Instagram Live or just talking about blogging and the struggles of blogging, just so people in your audience start to be aware of it. And then you could try doing some, either opt-in ads or waitlist ads to try and get those people who've engaged in some way. So that'd be something I think we could look at doing maybe next call. Because you can do that just to get in front of your own audience. You could do that pretty cheaply. Just make sure they all know what's happening.
And would you say that today you almost have to run some sort of ad if you are launching or just trying to get your engagement up, trying to gain followers, like with any goal you're trying to achieve? If you want to, I guess, growth in any way on Instagram, do you kind of have to run ads? Because that's kind of how I feel.
I've seen people, still grow accounts. It's just a lot. You don't have as much of that like viral growth. It can still happen, but because only such a small percentage of your audience ever sees any one post, it can only be shared so far. I think during a launch, if you have a product and it converts, even just doing retargeting ads where you're just targeting your own audience to see them is really profitable. So just starting there is something I think everybody should be doing, some kind of retargeting ad, which is what you would be doing if you were retargeting your Instagram audience.
Now, is there a way like to retarget where I'm like, because not all of my followers, some are like friends that I've known for years, like college people, high school people, and like I'm specifically targeting like bloggers, influencers, or people that want to be a blogger or influencer. So is there a way like within my audience to get super micro like that?
You could target your Instagram followers. It's hard to really separate out everyone who's, followed you.
Right.
Instagram and Facebook learn who's more, if you're optimizing for engagement, whoever engages the most. I mean, if your college friends are engaging, then it's going to, if one college friend engages with the ad, it might show it to more of your college friends, I guess, if it could figure out who it is. But yeah, for the most part, it's hard to hide it perfectly. I mean, if you had an email list of people you didn't want to see an ad, you could load that in and 60% of them Facebook will find it and make sure they don't see it. But
so interesting. That's like one, not a strength of mine at all, which is why I defer to you for everything because it's like just not my jam.
Yeah, but I think something like even promoting the wait list and getting that in front of 40,000 Instagram followers who might not be know what you're doing right now with Blogger Blueprint. Could be really helpful just to get some people to sign up and raise their hand early.
Yeah.
How many people do you have on the wait list?
I think now, actually, I was surprised. The last time I checked, it was, the last time aside from this most recent time, it was 49, and now it's up to like 55 or 59 or something. So, and it's sad because I don't know what I did to get that number up. I'm not, and I was think, I'm like, what did I do? Did I like post something on story? What did I say? What did I do? And I really can't remember, but I'm just like grateful that it's up now.
And they find it from I think you use Linktree, right? But they find it from all the links in there. One of them for the blueprint.
Yeah, I have Linktree, and then I have my blog, which has like a decent amount of traffic. I was actually featured on Forbes like years ago. So Forbes is just a great referral site for me. So I think that I'm getting them. I have little banners all over my blog, so it's probably from there, Linktree, and then like swipe ups on stories because I've just been like really going hard with the waitlist on stories.
Cool. Okay.
I have a question. Is that an average? Like, if my waitlist is like 55, is that an average amount or percent of people to be on the waitlist out of 40,000 followers that I have on Instagram?
No, I don't really know any percent that you'd expect because like you're not, I bet you only a couple thousand have ever even figured out that you're doing like seen that exact story or click through. So it's hard to say. You can't, I wouldn't really be able to say what's average or what should be expected for that. But yeah, that's where a couple ads might come in handy. Just get it in front of all those people and really push that, there is this wait list, this course is launching. Maybe they get bonuses, maybe they get discounts for being on the wait list, or however you structure it. Some reason to join.
Speaking of bonuses, so I do have bonuses planned, and I have in my launch sequence to have them available for like the first 3 days, and then they're like expiring or done or whatever. Now, is that the best way to go about that, or should the bonuses be longer? Like if I'm running it for 5 to 7 days, like the part, 3 days to have bonuses available. Should the bonuses be available the whole time?
Are you doing any discount?
Like yeah, I was going to do just for the wait list. So 20% off for the wait list.
Okay.
And then plus bonuses.
Yeah. So, because I always like an early bird. If you're going to do a discount, do an early bird, but you could do an early bird bonus. So it's like, if they buy within the first 48 hours, they get a special bonus, and maybe you make that something extra. So maybe, because you said there's 3 bonuses.
I think so, yeah.
And it's like each day there's a bonus and then it goes away?
Yeah, but that's a good idea. I was thinking just having all of them be as a bonus. So I was going to do Instagram highlight covers, an invite to the private Facebook group. What else was the other one? Oh, hashtag master list, and then audio. So, so they can listen to it kind of like in a podcast form.
Yeah.
So I guess 4 bonuses.
And that's just for everybody for the whole launch? Or is it going away?
Yeah, I was going to do it for everybody who's on my email list.
Yeah, you could think about doing something like the Facebook group's a pretty good offer. Maybe that's the early bird bonus because, like, you get to be in the community. So that could be like the first 48 hours, and you could always decide like you extend it for everybody. If you feel like you promote it as a Facebook group, but it seems like a lot of people want it, but they haven't quite. But you could always extend it and give it to everybody, but you promote it as like the early bird. Because I don't know if that's weird to have some people not in the group.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe it's a different bonus than that. I was just thinking through the early bird aspect, because maybe you want everybody to be in the group.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I do promote the group on stories just regularly. So it's not a special Blogger Blueprint group. It's just like my secret private Facebook group.
Yeah.
But maybe I could start a new group, but I kind of feel like that would just be like another thing to my plate, and like I'm not sure.
So this isn't just for so maybe then that is the early bird. Is like they get access to the group, because if it's not necessarily a part of the program, it's like a little different. That might make sense. But yeah, I think you could do that, and then the other bonuses you could just have together and offer that. You could, the early bird could be the first 2 days. It ends, and then you announce the new bonuses till cart close.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And then for the 20% off, should that be for the whole?
I was wondering. I like that it's for the wait list. I think it's nice to give them something. But oftentimes, if you're going to do a discount, I've seen people do it as the early bird. Like, act fast, get it at this price.
So then, like, the early bird would be the 48-hour deal?
Yeah, that would be the early bird offer. So if you wanted to, maybe you give the wait list people a little bit more since they're like since they already raised their hand.
Yeah.
And like maybe they get 40% off or whatever. And then the early bird is 20% for the first 48 hours. And then when that ends, you announce the bonuses for the final push. You could do it that way. And then everybody in the early bird gets the bonuses too, because you don't want to like not let them have it. But then you announce the bonuses to try and help the final push, since the early bird is going to be gone. That could be a nice way to structure that. I don't know if that feels right, but
yeah, I like that. I'm writing this down.
And so, have you emailed the list about the Blogger Blueprint now?
Well, I just went in. I had emails that were queued up for just like regular normal content that I had pre-planned. So I actually went in and edited them and like just at the bottom had a little side note like, hey, if you've been following me on Instagram, you'll know that the Blogger Blueprint is launching soon. Here's what you missed for the behind the scenes. And I did a link to my Blogger Blueprint highlight on Instagram.
Cool.
But that's kind of it. I haven't. So right now I'm at one newsletter every other week. Should I bump that up now before the launch? We're like, I don't know, 2 or 3 weeks out to every week a newsletter or an email? or is that just going to like
no, I would email them more right now, and not have it be necessarily promotional, but just be content. So like, I mean, I don't want to add more to your plate because I know you have a lot going on. So I don't know if you can repurpose content. I mean, you could have an email that's like quickly talking about the 5 biggest mistakes bloggers make, and then maybe you link to your Instagram live, or you download the live and post it to Facebook Live, and you link to that since that'll be permanent. Or just you post to Facebook. So you kind of duplicate content that way.
Yeah.
But I think that would be a nice way just to make sure everyone on your list is getting emails about, blogging content. What's in your newsletter typically?
It usually is repurposed content, or like I call it recycled content. So I'll just go back on old blog posts that like performed really well, or that maybe could be elaborated on, and I'll just kind of pull from there and then restructure it so it is, new and repurposed, and then plug it in there. This one that I just edited was, I think it was 7 or 9 like free resources that you can have. So I did all my freebies. I listed those. I listed podcasts, books that are good. And then I think blog posts that I had that would be helpful.
Yeah, I would definitely start emailing content about, blogging specific topics. It could even just start being like, I think we talked about last time, like you just sharing a story, right? Like your first big, early failures, your first big win when you were blogging, anything that kind of gets that discussion going and makes people see like, you've had, the same problems they've had. You've also had success. And stories always do well.
So yeah, I remember that from the last time. So I actually like restructured my whole blog post schedule for that reason. And I was like, okay, let's like do a story. So I have it set up. So now you kind of like got my wheels turning. Do you think I should, like the one story I have is about my blogging failures, or like how I was struggling in the beginning, like what those struggles look like. Should I do a link to that to my email list? Or is that like, I kind of hate when people are like, here's what you missed. And because it just is like, well, why am I on your like newsletter? Because I already go to your blog anyway. So do you think I should pull from that blog post and put it in a newsletter, or do like a, share a story and be like, oh, here's the full story. Here's the link.
You mean like when you say story, you mean like a blog post, or do you mean like an Instagram?
A story as in a blog post.
Okay.
So,
yeah, I mean, I've seen, if you write it as a blog post, I've seen, you put the first 2 paragraphs or some kind of intro in the email and you link to the blog post. I think you'd be fine though to put it as an entire email, because most people don't see the blog post unless, because like, I don't know, RSS readers and stuff have kind of are not as popular anymore. And so I think you could put your whole blog post in there, maybe tweak it so it's a little more conversational if it isn't, because it is an email, but you could always link to the post at the bottom. But really it's just about connecting via email. Like you don't care if they go to the site, you just want them to start hearing from you on this topic.
Yeah. Okay.
And the goal is like, share your failure, but also have a lesson in there, or at least have a stay tuned, like here's how I solved it. That's always a good strategy, is like just start linking some of these story emails together, like, and like start with a really good hook, end with a really good like ... Like I almost quit, but then I figured out, my 1-2 punch of how to succeed. And I'll tell you what that was in the next email. Better than that, but that can, and that's also a nice way to kind of help yourself with coming up with ideas, if you kind of like tell a long story. And there are a lot of ways to do a launch. Like I personally, I like writing, but I have a hard time writing, if that makes sense. Like I like telling stories and typing them out, but I have a hard time just getting up the energy to type. So like creating blog content or emails is not my strong suit. And if it's something for you that's going to be like a huge burden, maybe we could do more video or something else. There's a lot of ways to do it, but just getting people something in the email list is going to be really helpful.
Now, when I have these, doing these this new like story sequence via email that I would share with people, putting that in place, is that something that I can use the next time I launch, like in Q2?
Yeah.
But would people recognize like, okay, this is the same email you gave me like the last time you launched?
Sometimes, yeah. And so sometimes you tweak it or you update it based on what you've learned. I've also done a launch before where it's basically the same exact content. If your email list is about the same size as last time, you're probably going to want to tweak some of these emails. You could change things around and edit them a little bit. But if you've grown your list either with ads or organically, then doing the same launch isn't always the worst thing.
So then, and I could just do, let's say I grow my launch to or my email list to 30,000 people. I do it all to the 30,000 and I don't take out the 5,000 that I've already promoted to. I just keep doing it and who cares? They've seen it already, but what are the odds of that?
A lot of people need to see it 5-6 times before they buy.
That's right.
And so, especially if you're doing something where, some of those emails, maybe you change up the stories a little bit, but as far as the core pieces, if there's a webinar or a challenge or all the sales emails, for the most part, those can all stay the same until you start seeing them work. So,
is it normal? I really felt like I was in a good place, and I'm okay, I got this. And then we started to talk, and I'm I don't have this at all. Is that a normal feeling?
Yes, that's very normal. Launches they just are overwhelming, and even people who've had huge launches, something always breaks, something always gets messed up. So having a launch just be overwhelming in general, and then also feeling like there's so much you could do, so it's about figuring out what you can do, and what feels okay. If something feels like I know you're stretching a little bit with the Instagram lives today. So I think it's cool that you're trying it, but if it just for whatever reason after one or two of them, you're this is not me, I didn't like it, we can try something else.
I definitely love the Instagram lives. I think, like I said last time, I used to do them all the time. Every Tuesday I would do it, and I had so much fun. This is really I think a strength of mine. I love connecting. I love talk. You can't shut me up. I love to talk, but I'm a little rusty, and I also feel the pressure of the only reason I have in my head, the only reason I'm going on Instagram Live is to somehow weave in the blogger blueprint. And I guess I'm nervous about that. I feel sales as kind of not icky, but I don't like to be sold to. So I have a hard time selling to other people, but I know that this will be so helpful for them and life-changing and game-changing for them. I just don't know how to communicate that in a way that doesn't sound selly or pitchy.
You could just say what you said. I know it feels weird, just saying all that, right? You could even just being honest. Selling, being salesy makes me wildly uncomfortable, but I know how powerful this is. I also don't think you need to think about some of these early Instagram lives as a sales vehicle. It's just about getting people aware of what you're doing, getting engagement around the idea of blogging, seeing what questions people have. I always think sales is easier if you think about it as adding value and helping people first. So the sales pitch will come. People might ask, how can I learn more about how to be a better blogger? And you're well, you could join my wait list for the program. And then you just tell them the URL. And if it feels okay at the end, you could tell them if you're interested in blogging or you've been blogging and you want to take it to the next step, I have a new course. You can sign up for my wait list to be the first to find out when it launches.
Yeah. I actually just did that. I got a DM and they're hey, I've been reading your content. I love what you're doing. Can I pick your brain about this? And I'm if you've been reading my content, you know that I have this course coming up and I have all these freebies. So my biggest advice for you to pick my brain is to get the course. So I did plug it. She's okay, I'll think about it. And I'm no, I want you to join, damn it.
Yeah, that'll happen.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's exactly what to do. And so when you get on the Instagram Live, whatever, you can always at the end talk about it, or if it doesn't feel okay, it's not a big deal because this is just about talking about blogging and getting people aware of kind of your experience with it.
Yeah. Okay.
Cool. And any other questions? I was going to move on, but
no. I guess not. Maybe I don't know if I'll be able to do all of these things in the timeline that I wanted to stick to, because I was going to announce on the live today, like my whole thing is, if you stick around till the end, I'm going to be like announcing something special. So I was going to announce the launch date and like
Cool.
how if the first person who buys it will get it for free plus $100 cash. So I was going to like do those announcements at the end of the live. So with that, like I don't know if I'll be able to repurpose my blog post, put it in an email. Like I don't know if I'll be able to do all of those things. So if I can't do everything for this launch, what's like the one or two things that you would recommend doing?
I mean, your biggest audience is on Instagram, so I would really try and do as much as I can there. I know they're not all seeing it, so that's why we can talk about ads next time, just promoting a couple things at low budget. Your email list, though, tends to be pretty powerful, so you don't necessarily have to write out the full stories, but you could just start talking about blogging in general more. So either leveraging old blog posts you have, you could, like you mentioned, like maybe you have a couple posts about blogging. Do you have like blog posts about blogging or?
That's all my blog is. Like when I say I've been content marketing the Blogger Blueprint for 9 years because I've been blogging for 9, that's all I've been doing. Like there's a few fashion stuff, but like I have it all there, which like, that's why I'm kind of disappointed that more people aren't on my wait list because I've been doing this for 9 years and it's like, I have all this content. Like they should be prime. They know what I'm about. Like this just makes total sense. If I were to come out with like a fitness line or a candle company or something, it wouldn't make sense. But this is like totally aligned with my niche and what I've been doing.
The only way that they know really about the Blogger Blueprint is like you kind of have some small call outs in the newsletter from time to time, right? And then like maybe you mention it on an Instagram post, but it's in the Linktree link in Instagram. Have you done like a full pitch for the waitlist?
What do you mean by pitch?
Like just come out and said like, here's everything you're going to get in the Blogger Blueprint. First person, everyone on the list gets like X% off. If you're thinking about it, join the wait list.
No, but that's kind of like, so I wrote this blog post out that was kind of going to be that. But now that I'm thinking about it, like it might just be better to like, if you said to focus on Instagram and my email list, kind of like scrap creating the blog content and just do the email and Instagram.
Yeah, because how are people finding the blog content? Like they have to go to your site, right? Or schedule it or have an RSS reader or something?
Yeah, like a lot, my biggest referrers are organic, which is like SEO, Google. So I guess they're Googling Not Another Blonde. And then Facebook actually, which is so weird because I have like no community on Facebook, and Instagram. So yeah, I mean, I guess.
But like any new blog content is not going to drive a lot of Google traffic right away. Like that's always like SEO. That's always longer term. Like you start ranking and people find you. Yeah. So like posting that, if you posted an article about the blueprint today, how many people would even be aware of it? How many people would like find it organically?
I mean, I think my traffic now, I check it once a month. Last month it was like 5,000 or like 4,500, 5,000. So I guess it would probably be the same this month, but I don't know.
A lot of them are coming to like specific things probably, right?
Yeah.
So they have to then click out and go find the top of the top first post on the blog. I mean, I think it's great that you're doing that, but I would at the very least put that in an email too and get that right in front of the 5,000 people that have opted in to hear from you.
Yeah.
Because like I think even if you're don't have time to like write out a story, I think having a sales pitch, even just like a loose one, like a pretty easy one up front, but it instead of saying buy now, it's like join the wait list, so it's even easier. And it's like, here's all the things you're going to get. If you're on the wait list, when the cart opens and you buy, you're going to get 40% off, 30% off, whatever it is, plus all these bonuses. Make it really be like a no-brainer for them, just because they don't have to buy, but they're on the wait list, so they kind of can hear about it.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then for the way that I have it set up right now, it's just like I don't have lead pages. I have a landing page, but like my designer like just ghosted me, so it's not like fully there yet. And then so I was just going to do like a direct link to my Squarespace site and then just have them like add it to cart that way. with like there's like barely a pitch on my Squarespace site, which we actually showed in the last call, like my landing page or whatever. I mean, is that even good enough?
Is that for the wait list or to actually buy? You said add to cart. So that's like when the sales page opens?
Yeah, that would be for both. So people who are on the wait list, like my launch sequence my email launch sequence, did I say it? Yeah, would be have like little buttons and, buy now or like join now. So then that button goes to nabmediagroup.com/courses, which just has the blogger blueprint. And then you click that and then you add to cart and then you have to go to the cart and check out. I feel like that's a lot of like steps and clicks.
Yeah. What you're using Squarespace or what are you using?
Squarespace.
You can skip the add to cart. I get rid of the add to cart because that's just an extra step.
I know. I tried to I feel like I have to install like Moonlight or something or Moonbeam or like, I
think you can either, there's like an option to choose or you just like direct link a button to the checkout page. Because I think last time I used Squarespace and had to do this, I think there's either an option just to direct directly to like have a button link to like a checkout page, or you can just like paste in the checkout page link.
Yeah. Okay. I was like, there has to be a workaround.
Yeah. And you don't have to have a crazy sales page, but you're going to want something where it really, tells people exactly what they're going to get, benefits first. Like here's what you'll be and what you'll have once the course is over. And then here's all the things in the course and how you achieve it. If you can add timers in or, highlight like when bonuses close, even better. But it doesn't have to be like a crazy sales page, but it's good just to let them see exactly the pieces that they're getting in it.
Maybe on the next call, we can jump into like ads and then you could like do an audit of the sales page that I do have now.
Yeah. Have I seen it yet? Because you said it
briefly. It was like for a second when I did a screen share on the last call. I did it for like,
because right now it's the wait list, right?
Okay. And it has like 2 paragraphs about what it is. I basically, from my like master landing page, which is not fully finished and I don't want to put that out there yet, I took like the first 2 paragraphs and put it into this like mini sales page. And then it has a link to the wait list. And it does kind of share, it's like, okay, week 1 is this, week 2, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. But it's not as in-depth. My landing page is killer. It's so good. It's just not visually or aesthetically where I want it to be. And I don't think I'll have time to find someone to polish that off for me before.
Yeah, and because this is like the first launch, you're going to have a lot of things where it's like, I wish I had more time or more money to do this because like you can only have so many like time and resources to do these things. So that's why leveraging your audience that already knows you and then selling a lot in the emails are going to be important because like the emails are going to have to be really explicit about everything they're getting if they're going to like a simple landing page. But yeah, we can look at that. But I think you should try even now, if you can't write out a full story, start linking to, have some emails go out. Maybe like you have YouTube videos about blogging. Maybe you do a couple, maybe you group them together. Like, here's 2 YouTube videos and 2 blog posts on this specific blogging topic, and you share it, and you just write a little paragraph that's like, here's all about like the struggles of blogging, right? Or here's the thing everyone freaks out about but doesn't even matter. And then you can do a couple of those just to get people thinking about it. But I would, and you could always then link to the waitlist page at the bottom or something. But I would do an email that's a very direct, like, let everybody know that there is a course coming, there's a waitlist, they can join, they get extra benefits from it. It could be pretty direct. And that could be honest, like, hey, this is my first big course. I'm really excited. I know it's going to be like crazy valuable. Here's what's in it. I'd love for you to join the wait list. Here's what you get.
So for, if I were to do something where it's kind of like a roundup of all these different pieces of content that I have for around like one topic, do you think I should make that topic about a topic that's like specifically in the blogger blueprint? So for example, week 1 is about branding. So I could take all my branding posts or all my YouTube videos about branding and like put that into the email. And then week 2 is about time management. So I could take all my like productivity stuff and put that or no.
I would focus on whatever your audience or what you think, if you don't have intel at all based on what people have been telling you, what you think their biggest problems right now are with blogging. Because sometimes what happens is like you have the answers for them and like your course gives them the answers, but if it's not what they think they need, they might not buy it.
Right.
Because like a lot of times what'll happen is someone will create a course where it's like people worry about all this other stuff. They don't need to. Here's what they should be worried about, and here's how to solve it. But if I'm the one worried about all the other stuff, I don't believe you, right? So
right.
So it's better to be like, you're worried about having time to write blog posts. Okay, well, join, you'll learn how, and then they get in, and it's like, there's one tip, and then you're like, but time isn't the problem, so don't even worry. But once they're in the course, you can then help them. So if you've had people asking questions about blogging, if people have commented on your blog post before, I would just start with like, what are the most common questions, and try and answer those, and then lead them down a path, where it makes sense for the course.
Yeah, that's so true. Like that's like my fear, because what people like, the Blogger Blueprint literally is all the answers to all their questions. But I think that how I have it structured, looking at it, people will be like, well, that's not really what I want, but it is, it's just maybe like, they want to learn how to grow their Instagram account, but first they have to know how to like brand themselves, find their niche, what content to create, who their audience is, and things like that. Even if they don't necessarily know that, but they just want to go like, okay, just tell me how to grow my audience. And it's like, but first you have to go through these like prerequisites to like get there.
Right. And that, I mean, right here, what you're talking about, this, I know you don't have time for it necessarily, but this could be an email, like 4 or 5 paragraphs, right? Talking about like, you think your problem is this, but you'll never grow if that's what you think if that's what you try to solve, right? Like, here is where it's about positioning, it's about branding. Get that locked down first and know your audience, and then you can grow. You can't just be blasting out Instagram posts and think you're going to grow.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, this could be an Instagram live topic, right? Like, this could be talking about like why the problem you think is the problem is not the problem.
Yeah.
And then selling them on the branding piece, right? Or just one of those. But yeah, I know you got to get ready for your Instagram live, but I would tell you, like, you don't have a lot of time to do all this stuff, and it's a lot. So I would focus on we can talk about the sales page next time, but maybe make it a little bigger and just bullet points of like, here's what you're going to have when you're done, and here's all the things in it,
And like for my next launch, which we can talk about in the next call, like, how would someone or how would I be able to fit all of this into the next launch? Like, I have been planning that, like, I did have a 90-day launch strategy, but and that doesn't even seem like it's good enough or like it was long enough. So maybe it's just an issue of not knowing you don't know what you don't know, which is what you're telling me. So now that I know these things that I didn't know, I can implement them into the next one, into a 90-day launch strategy.
Yeah, and like the biggest thing with the first launch is just doing the launch. A lot of people get stuck, so like just doing it, and then you have a lot more understanding of like maybe how to sell this better, the kind of questions people are asking, how you can address those objections. So yeah, launches can always be a big task, but you'll have a lot of pieces already to go for next time.
Yeah. My thing is like, I want it to be perfect the first time, like that. I'm a Capricorn, so I'm very like, I'm taking over the world and like this, and like perfectionist. So I'm like, this is going to be perfect and I don't care. But like, you just, kind of like what you implied, like launch fast, adjust later. Like you just have to go and put it out there.
And sometimes that can be like the fact that this is the first launch and you want it to be perfect, but like you also know there's going to be a lot of like the course might change after some people are in it, right? You might adjust it. Sometimes you can use that to your advantage. You already have 40,000 Instagram followers, 5,000 people on your email list who know you. Tell them that like because they're going to be the first people in the door, they're going to get so much extra love and attention. They're going to get every update you make to this course. Like that can actually be a selling point, right? And like you could say this isn't a finished product, like this product is exactly what you need, but I'm going to keep adding to it as I hear from you and I work to answer your questions even more. Because sometimes people respond to that. They're like, oh, cool. Like I'm getting in before you check out of it or perfect it so that you're still heavily involved.
Right. Yeah, I love seeing it from that perspective because when I was thinking about it before, like this is my first time. When I hear people say this is their first time, I'm like, no, I'm gonna wait until like you have it down. Like,
Yeah.
but I like that you've kind of pivoted that in a more positive light to like actually work to my advantage.
Right. Like just as an example, we didn't really do a launch for our group Facebook coaching program. We just kind of reached out to like 30 people that we knew might be a good fit. But like my pitch to them was like, look, in a year from now, I might not be very involved in this, but if you join now, like I will be the one coaching. I will get into your ad account.
Like hands on.
Right. And so, and the price is what it is now. It's not what it will be a year from now. And so some people are going to be like, oh, I want it to be perfect. But like, really what I'm saying is like, or what you'll be saying is like, it's already perfect. Like it's exactly what you need, but I'm going to add even more as I work with you, and I'll be right there answering questions and,
Yeah, I love that. Awesome.
Cool. Okay. I know you got to go, and we can look at your email list next time and maybe look at the sales page too.
Yeah, that's great. Cool.
All right.
All right. Thank you. Thank you.
See you next Tuesday.
Okay. See ya.
Okay. See ya.